What is up, guys? Welcome to the Bags to Riches podcast. So you're watching this. We are live here. You're probably wondering, Zach, what's going on with the thumbnail? What's going on with the title? Why are you making this a mystery? And obviously, I wanted to pique your interest and really help you guys not look at the real estate wholesaling from hey, it's this coach or this guy, and he's on the podcast, so I'm interested in that. I really wanted to kind of give you a little blind eye really quick and really just show you guys it's not how much clout or followers someone has, but it's really the mindset that this person has or whatever. But I'm telling you, from every circle in real estate wholesaling I've talked to multiple seven-figure wholesalers, and they've always told me, you got to get this one guy on your podcast. This dude's one of the smartest marketers out there. And I was super excited. So actually had a phone call with him for like over an hour, and this dude blew my mind. I'm like, I got to get this guy on the podcast. And without further ado, one of the smartest marketers I've ever talked to about real estate wholesaling is Tyler Austin. So Tyler Austin's going to join us right now, and he is going to drop some dimes and just drop some knowledge on marketing. This dude's a former hacker. He knows everything about marketing. So I'm really excited. Thanks for coming on today, Tyler.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm giving out my secrets about being a hacker.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So please give an introduction to the audience. Let everyone know who you are. I mean, from my personal experience, before I even met you, I just kept hearing things about REI Sift. I'm like, what is that? Like, I never really even looked at it. And then eventually I looked at it. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, so a little background about me, man. I'm a military guy by trade. I don't really know anything besides the military and real estate. So part of what I did when in the military is I was an ammo troop, represent the ammo guys, which basically means I was on an assembly line building bombs and maintaining missiles. When I continued to progress in my military career, I was always a tech savvy dude. So I ended up kind of getting into more of the cyber stuff. I transferred over to a career field called One Bravo, cyber warfare operator. After I got out, I ended up switching over to a government side and doing some government things in the hacking space, and built a lot of experience in understanding how does one little thing affect the whole life cycle of a data set, right? So really what we do in marketing, right? Marketing is all about data sets. So during that time frame, I got sick and tired. I worked my ass off. Hopefully, I don't know if cursing's good on your shit, but okay, good. All right. Worked my ass off for 3 years, going from a GS4 up to a 13 or a 12 rather. And then I got to that point because I thought that's exactly what I want. I thought that's what I needed to have in my life. I wanted that $80,000 a year salary. Can't get fired by anybody but Congress. And then I realized, like, as I was standing up and we were in this really an important meeting that we were in about some things that I knew affected a lot of people. And I realized that when I stood up and gave my opinion, it really didn't matter. It was like I was still being shut down because even though the person directly above me cared about what I said, the person above them didn't believe in me. Kind of like how with a seller that you can have trust, but when their sibling comes in and says, oh, that they're scamming you, all the deal goes to shit. Right. So it's the same scenario. And I got sick and tired of that. So I started getting, looking into real estate and stuff. And I was traveling 50% of the year in my job. So I needed to figure out a way how to build a business and grow it while not being attached to the company. So I thought direct mail was going to be the answer to that. I spent $10,000 in direct mail, didn't generate any deals. I was super frustrated, didn't know what was going on. Came back and looked at my mailbox, and like everything was full because I was traveling at the time. Came back, everything returned back in my mailbox, and I laid it all out on my floor in the office I'm standing in right now. And I realized that all that data that was on my postcards all looked jacked. There was like first name and last name. There was like symbols in it. There was missing information. No one educates that you need to clean data before you use it in real estate. So at that time, being a hacker, I'm not a huge fan of the word, but being a cybersecurity engineer is what I normally say. I wrote some quick scripts to run through my CSV documents, found out that on average, about 10% of the data that I purchased would have never have made it to the owner. And from that, I kind of just spiraled down into that. And then in my first quarter, after unlocking that information, I restructured my company, hired a VA, hired an acquisitions person to do at 20% commission to be able to work for me while I'm not there. And then we ended up netting $250,000 in that first quarter, right there after that. And from there, I was like, okay, like I can do this even if I were to continue. But I had a situation, and I'll end with this. Essentially where I went to buy a house from somebody. There was 18 people in that property, ended up having to evict out of it. But she called me at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was walking from what's called Building 85 to another building behind me. And my phone started ringing, and I pick it up, and it's this elderly woman. She starts off without even saying hi. She starts off with, "Hey, I believe this is Tyler. Uh, my son died at 2 o'clock in the morning. I need to sell a property." And I was like, I really didn't know how to handle it because she sounded old, she sounded frail. So after at the end of that transaction, after I got done getting all those peoples out of the property, 3 life threats later, and all this other stuff, she gave me a hug. Obviously, this was before COVID, you can tell. She gave me a hug, and she said, "I hope you make $1 million from this property." And and I was like, wow. Like I left my job, who doesn't listen to what I say, to help this person. I made $30,000 from it in less than a month. And she's thanking me for giving me money. Like, that's a whole nother thing. So I learned the difference in value proposition. And I just took that and kind of ran with it. And then some really good friends of mine said, "Hey, what you're doing makes sense, how you're doing it." REI SIFT became a thing. And the rest is history.
Wow. Wow. That story always gets me pumped up. I remember you telling me something like you maxed out like an Amex card and
Yeah.
you went all in, and it's crazy, man. But first of all, I appreciate your service in the military. I
Thanks,
never
brother.
served, but everyone here at Flip with Rick appreciates it. And really, it's so interesting having someone who has such a mindset from that military, that cybernetics and the cybersecurity. Again, I don't know anything about that, but putting that into real estate and especially wholesaling with marketing. And I think I know you hate the word hacking, but I feel like you've hacked wholesaling to an extent, especially with REI SIFT and really helping
I like
people
that.
out. So can you explain what REI SIFT is and really what it is? I mean, got on your shirt.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Which was just honestly actually coincidental because I wear it every day. But so what REI SIFT is what I've started to do to tell people is REI SIFT is a process, right? It is a platform that is a process to managing data. A lot of people, when they come in and look at REI SIFT, they're thinking, oh, it's a list stacker. That is like the farthest from the truth. That is a byproduct of data management, but that is the core. If you only focus on the list stacking part, you still have at least 15 to 20 things you're doing in your business that you're losing money from. It's about the process of intaking data into your company, looking at it, understanding it, getting the insight that's needed, executing on marketing, taking the results of that marketing, inputting it back into your data, be it a phone number, a record, and so forth, right? And then re-executing marketing again and doing that over and over and over, right? And from that, what you do is you understand patterns. If something happens in your market, like a seller sells to one of your competitors, and you see that come across, and you type that address in your account, you can see the life cycle of what's happened with that record. What campaigns did it go on? Have I even contacted any of the phone numbers from that record? There's a ton of different things, but in its essence, REI SIFT is a process. It is the no different than with Facebook ads. You can upload, and create a campaign, and then you can create the ad sets, and then you can send them out. Well, in that, there's a process. There's creating the ad, there's watching what happens, there's refining it. Marketing is marketing, no matter whether it's in wholesaling, whether it's in, I don't know, selling toilet paper. I don't really know anything. Like, it'd be whatever the hell you want it to be. It's the same thing over and over. One of the biggest examples I give people is if you skip trace something, right? And you get, let's say you're one of the people skip tracing for 10 phone numbers. About how many of those phone numbers are accurate phone numbers? Like, how many or not so much accurate, but it's the right phone number for the owner? Like, most people answer that and they say, well, between 1 and 3 or 0, like 100%. So what you're telling me is at minimum, there's 7 that are the wrong phone number. And then they tell me they're doing RVMs and SMS, and they're doing, let's say, SMS first or RVM first, whichever one. So you're telling me and you're admitting to me that you're sending to the wrong phone numbers back to back? How much money over time? You're doing that with 1,000 records. That's 700 phone numbers, 3 cents per on a send, depending on what platform you're using, or maybe it's only even a penny. Over time, it adds up. Smart marketers care about that. Smart CEOs care about that. We want to try to eliminate our taxes, right? We want to try to not have to pay taxes. And we do all these crazy things. We learn how to invest in cost segregation analysis, rentals and all these other things, so that we can save money, because we understand that not paying taxes means at the end of the year, we've made more money. But when we start making money in real estate, what we do instead is we say, oh, I'm making money, which means I got to spend money, instead of understanding I got to spend money to learn how not to spend money, but increase my net profits. So in the essence, that's what we care about at RISF.
Okay.
Making that happen in an automated way.
Definitely. So my next question, it's a follow-up question, but so you're a 7-figure wholesaler, and I mean, you do some wholesaling, but you're a pretty good one. And if I truly believe if I lined up 100 7-figure wholesalers in a room and I asked them, you made $1 million of profits in wholesaling, how much you spend in your marketing? They would tell me 300,000, 400,000, 400, 300,000. Tyler, how much did you spend in your marketing last year, and how much did you make wholesaling wise?
So it was just under 35,000, and we just towards the end of the year though, because of my company, because it's really a more of a personal thing, but I'll share it here. Between my companies cumulatively, I got into a situation. This is just about learning, right? It's no different than people having to learn that they should, properly manage their data and marketing. I didn't get ahead of my tax strategy early enough in my, and so I came into the last 3 weeks of the year and I had to do quite a few things. One of those things was push closings to the next year. Right. So we ended up only netting, I believe it was 800, is between 800 and 900,000. Right. So we didn't break the 7-figure mark. I always want to say that because I'm not about capping. Right. So we pushed stuff over to the next year because of tax purposes. And then I had to sink a bunch of money into thankfully there ended up being a 135 unit project that closed right on the 31st at 3 p.m. that I was able to get money, 200 grand into to sink some money away. And that kind of helped out. But, obviously when you have high net profits, you have more, you create bigger problems, like not giving those profits away. So it's important to understand that. And on that light, right? Because I see a lot of individuals who are like, I want to get to like the 7 figures, to 2 million, 3 million mark, or even above 7 figures. And I say, okay, what is the net profits on that? Like you're just saying, what they're spending on average, most larger operations, they only make about 20%, upwards maybe to 37% net profit. Okay. If that's at a $3 million company and you made 20% net profit, that means you made roughly 650,000 net. Right. But if you made a $1.2 million company at 60% net profit, that's about 775,000 net. Right. So you got to understand what is it you want to be? Do you want all that headache? And by the way, a $1.2 million company can be done with less than 6 people in real estate. It's very easy. You can be done with 3 people. You don't need a lot. So I always like to mention whenever money is mentioned, to put yourself in that mindset. Do you want to be a $1.2 million company, or do you only need 200,000 net? What does that look like? And then reverse engineer back from that.
I mean, guys, if you're not taking notes, you're in deep trouble right now. But the one thing I want to ask, the reason why I'd like you on here is because you're not like the typical wholesaling, coach guy that says you need to get this huge office and it's got to be 3 stories long. You have a cold callers, you have 10 dispositions, and you got all these acquisitions guys that you're paying a crazy minimum salary, and it's all sexy and stuff, and they'll show you the revenue, but they don't show the end. And obviously I got a lot of flack talking like, you don't want to be that. And hearing your business, I mean, it's really similar to mine, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So in our business, we have one acquisition. We have one, we don't call them cold callers. We call them marketers, right? So our people, our marketers own data. So they own a specific data set, and their job is to make sure they reach those people on that data set. So for example, let's just say, well, I'll give you a real example. Right now, we're focusing on 76 records, right? Those 76 records are out of state, vacant properties in my top 2 zip codes. I'll even share 32547, 32548.
Oh,
Please
no.
get deals there. I will buy them, get them. I will buy them. Please mark it
And
for
what
me.
marketer do you win for everyone? Real
From
quick.
Pensacola down to Panama City. But
Nice.
primarily, I love Fort Walton Beach and Niceville, Florida. Okay. I'll buy in Pensacola too, but I prefer Fort Walton Beach. So we're focused on 76 of those. Her job, Karen, is we assign her those records in REI Sift. Her job is then to understand how to market, not how to be a robot on the phone, but how to be a marketer. So what she does is she knows how to set up call tools campaigns. She knows how to set up SMS campaigns. She knows how to drop a slide broadcast drop if she needs to. We are actually switching that over to REI Rail, and we have Smarter Contact as well. We'll send through both to do RVM and SMS to those lists. She knows how to use all the platforms, right? Because we call ourselves sales and marketing ninjas, right? Ninjas were so powerful because they weren't masters of one tool like a samurai, right? They were masters of a plethora of tools that were needed to achieve a specific job. And so what she does is she goes through there and she starts off, depending on how much data it is, she'll start off only single dialing through each of those, right? Finding out, is that number good or is it bad? If it's good or bad, or if it's correct number or whatever, she tags the phone number. She changes the status to whatever it needs to be set to. And she goes through that whole thing, right? After we get through that initial 77, right, we'll then either skip trace it in a different location than we skip trace before, or, right, we'll use a different tactic, like we'll RVM drop it or we'll SMS through it, because maybe that's a better approach. And then the end goal is if none of those work, it just gets added to direct mail for long-term nurture. So instead of hiring a cold caller, we hire a prospector that owns that specific data set, and their job is to get in contact with them. Then the last thing, if it gets hit with direct mail, is what we call at REI Sift deep prospecting. And that is essentially us digging in and finding family members, TLO, true people search, been verified. I have a script that I have in my company that I developed that does a bunch of OSINT stuff that pulls data back. Things like that, right? And that's us because, well, let me finish who else is in our company. Then we have Hunter, who is our acquisitions. I mentioned her already. The Karen, Diana is our lead manager. And then Jake is dispositions and commercial. And then there's me. And then a data cleaner. So we have 6 total. And they all own a specific part. And it just kind of flows through the assembly line, focusing on the right people out of those. The people that do like the mass cold calling and they hire like 16 cold callers or even 7 or 6 cold callers, what they don't think about, they buy a lot of it's buy 10,000 records to feed a cold caller every single month. So that means you're going to buy 10,000, you're going to skip trace them, and then you're going to call through them. That means you're going to hit roughly 37,000 phone numbers per caller each month, right? If you look at the numbers on cold calling, about 50% go to voicemail. Right? If 50% of the numbers go to voicemail, that means you're not reaching 50% of the people every single month from that caller, and they're locking up one deal. For you to compensate for that, you hire another caller, which means you add more overhead when you could have just been contacting the other 50% of people. Because it's not like they don't want to sell. People even do it with probate lists. Like they're just only focused on probate. And they just call it. And I'm like, why are you doing that? It's like, you think someone came down and grabbed them up from the earth and just bring them back alive again? That doesn't make no sense.
So my next question really for you here is, obviously you've spent 35 and you've almost gotten $1 million. That's absolutely amazing. But my question is, there's a lot of people watching this that think 35,000 is like a super scary, hot, like an amazing big amount of marketing budget. What would your advice be for someone maybe is like 18, 19 years old? Their budget's like $1,000 to $2,000. How would you stretch that? Kind of like how you stretch your marketing at 35.
Is that $1,000 to $2,000 annually or monthly?
Let's do both.
Both. Okay. So if it's monthly, then I say that they should change it to only $300 a month.
Okay.
And if it's annually, I say that they should switch it to whatever 300 times 12 is a month. Maybe not even that. Because you don't need a large marketing budget at all. We try to make it smaller and smaller. The only reason mine was 35,000 was because I added Facebook ads as one of my primary tactics, and I do direct mail. And as you continue as an operation, like, it didn't start off that. My first 250 grand came from 2,500 records and like $150 a month. That's why I have that one YouTube video that's $150 or $350 initial investment and $150 a month, because that was my first year and a half, right? And I think we did, like, my first year and a half was somewhere around like 750,000, right? And I was just spending really small amounts of money and just doing the right things, right? That's all that really matters. That's why, like, it's the process of which matters. So for this individual, what I would do is you got to understand what your market is. I have this thing I teach, it's called the 3V motivated seller framework: value, vexation, viability. Those three core concepts, value, vexation, viability, every market has them, right? Every market has a location of which, is valuable to somebody. In addition to the properties in that location are valuable, meaning they have equity. There's always a core problem in a market. In Florida here, where we're both located, a lot of it's probate, inherited, tax delinquency. That's like our big bread and butter. Because the absentee people don't pay their taxes, and then people come here and they die. That's like what Florida's known for. Okay. So that's a big focus for us. In another market, like in a northern market, you might have a niche where it's properties which have frozen over, for example, right? Who knows? The third thing, viability, is being knowledgeable in executing on whatever problem you're trying to solve. In addition to that, it's the problem isn't so bad of a problem where it's not viable to close on. For example, it has a shit ton of liens, it's in foreclosure, and it's also tax auction, so on and so forth, right? You shouldn't, as a new investor, be marketing to things that are beyond your viability, nor the property's viability. I don't think that new investors should be focusing on bankruptcy. I don't think they should be focusing on federal tax liens. I don't think they should be focusing on any of that stuff, because as a new investor that has no money, those have attorneys, lawyers, and all this other stuff involved. And that makes it to where if you put something on a contract now, there's a potential that you don't even know. You don't have the viability to know how to circumvent an issue that might be right in front of you. I know now what I didn't know 2 years ago. If I were to get something under probate, I know that I can close in 15 days by doing a ninja tactic. Other people might not know that, so they say they just let it go by the wayside, right? So focus on the things that you can execute and you can get money into your business right away. Once you get $30,000 into your bank account, now we can reinvent and figure out how we can put that best to work. But until you have $30,000 in cash, you shouldn't even be really hiring nobody unless you have a solid budget, right? So that's what I would do. I'd intake that data, whatever that data is. You can start off with even like high equity data, right? Especially if they are REISIF user, you can upload that high equity data into REISIF, filter by vacant properties, out of state homeowners, and you might be left with, let's say, if you go to PropStream, you can get 10,000 of those. Now you have that inside your account, and now you can focus on the 500 that might be vacant and just contact them. A lot of people just give up because they think that it's like the property didn't just up and disappear. And if that person you can't get in contact with any family members or anything, buy it from the city. A lot of people don't even know they can just buy the property from the city. This is I guess a good gem for those people, I think we would call them. If you can't reach anybody about a property, do a genealogy report, show that there's no other heirs, take it to the court and buy it from the court. That money will get held in what's called, I think it's called unclaimed funds, right? It'll get held in what's called unclaimed funds. And then you take those unclaimed funds and they just sit there until someone claims them. And now you buy the property. It's that simple, right? There's a way around everything. And that's why the third V for viability is so important. Because if you focus on a niche over time, you learn by not being able to get properties on a contract, how you can, right? Instead, what people do is they start scaling and they just scrape the surface and then they expand into other markets when they haven't even hit like 0.005% of their market share. Your goal should become the dominator, the fucking boss in your own market.
Definitely. I mean, that's what we try to do in our market. And absolutely, I'm telling you, probates, especially in Florida, one of the best ones for me. There's a reason why Florida's so good at probates. We jokingly around here call Florida God's waiting room, and that's how we do
Yeah.
so well with it. But yeah, probates are powerful, man. I'm loving your stuff. So the 3 V's is crazy. I mean, I think you got like a bunch of other, I don't know what they're like, mannerisms, what you call them, but like the go, no, go challenge, like
Yeah. The
you
go,
got
no
all these
go
like different things. Can you
frameworks.
explain some of those? And
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm butchering them, but can you explain some of those other ones you got?
Yeah. So the 3V motivated seller framework is kind of an initial framework that's just around it's a way, and this is big for anybody that has a team or they're trying to educate people. Um, you have to have a method of which when you educate, you can pick it up and you can carry it. If it's not something that you can pick up and you can carry, right, then it's nothing that you can ideally educate. So that's why we create these different frameworks. You'll notice like sometimes you remember like in high school or whatever, there's the V's that people would do, and in the V or the pyramid, you'd have the different things. It'd be like the food pyramid and stuff. That's a framework, right? So build frameworks. So in an REI-SIF, in our education, or just me in general, when I'm trying to educate something, I turn it into a framework. Right. And I learned this from one of my mentors. You'll see Trevor at Carrot, for example, does this a lot too. And a lot of stuff that
Love Trevor.
he does a ton of frameworks, right? Because it makes it easy for his team to own it and then teach it to someone else in his team. So the auto lead gen challenge is one of, it's not so much a framework, but it's education of the process of how to execute and do the things that we do. Internal to that is a tons of different frameworks, such as like the budget breakdown framework and the data framework. Like there's these different frameworks, and that's how it gets educated. And then you have the go no go process, which is it's a go no go challenge, which is essentially once you have all the foundation in line, you understand how to manage data and how it flows, and once we rewire the way of which you've been seeing online versus what reality is, now we take down like, okay, let's go a layer deeper than that. And a lot of people then take go no go process. They build what we call deep ninja squads inside their company, which is what I was just mentioning with the marketer. They're the core of their company. The other marketing that everybody does is their primary. It's the blanket over top of it, right? It kind of just, it's there because you still want to try once you get to scale, you still want to do all those other types of marketing, like calling all the high equity that are just high equity and stuff, because you don't want to miss out on what I call opportunity costs. It's a standard theme, right? Opportunity cost, meaning that we don't know if that person's going to wake up one morning and be like, oh, this is an opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and sell, right? So we want to try to still hit those people, but what we really want is a really balanced inbound tactic with a really solid outbound tactic. And to give you an example of what that looks like, Nick Perry, right? I was talking to Nick Perry over the weekend at a mastermind. Yeah, he's a beast, right? And he does a lot of PPC. But his PPC, the reason why he's so successful is because he does all the right things, right? He's continually enhancing, refining, removing things that aren't working and building it better. I'm not going to give away all of his secrets, but that's what he does, right? So all those people that are going to search on your computer and they type in, I need to sell my house fast. Those are people that are willingly admitting they're coming in and doing a physical action. If we think of the psychology behind it, to admit that they're in a bad position. It takes a lot of people a lot of time to make that decision, right? Because most individuals, it's upsetting, it's grueling. One of the siblings finally took the action, whatever the case is. Your job as an outbound prospector, outbound marketer, is to find the individuals before they decide to get to that point so that you can keep that PPC budget lower. In addition to that, it's to figure out who are the people that haven't built the confidence yet and never will. That's your job. What people do instead is they say, let me just smash myself out there and do brute force tactics, right? When in all reality, the people who are really threatening are the people who are sitting waiting, right? And they're gathering information. and they don't need to do brute force tactics because you don't even realize you already gave them your password a week ago, right? And they're already in your shit. So those are the people that are threatening. Those are the people who are doing deals inside markets that aren't on Instagram, that aren't on Facebook, that aren't out on YouTube, that aren't doing any of this shit because they don't need to build out that presence online. And I know the influencers aren't I don't mind the influencers, right? I'm just saying, like, they don't need to do that because they're focused on their business right now, right? They don't need to have that other flashy shit going on. And trust me, I like flashy shit. I'm wearing a Rolex right now. Like, I don't mind it, right? Like, but there's a time, there's a place, and the tactics which are taught need to be taught for the well-being of the people in the right way to do things rather than for external like benefit. And that's one of my biggest things in the industry.
I 100% agree with you. That's why I literally give everything I got for free.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler, it's another thing I got you on because, like, if I bring you on a podcast, you're not going to go talk about your Lamborghini and then everyone will buy my $10,000 course. Like, your lead gen challenge is like it's extremely cheap, and it's like, I mean, you're on there a lot, so it's pretty good.
Only $99, bro. Like I could be. It covers more than what a $10,000 or even $20,000 coaching program costs. And here's the thing, man. And what I love, you mentioned it earlier, right? I could have went the guru route, right? I could have went that route, but I have a different desire to serve in a different way. And the reason why the Auto Legion Challenge is so cheap is because I get to say that I ain't a fucking guru, that I'm a software founder. And by being a software founder, I only have one mission, one job, and that's to make sure our users are successful, right? So because of that, inherently, right, my value proposition is on top of itself. It's different than everywhere else because my value proposition is you just need to be, taken care of, because I don't care if you pay me 10. I mean, we deny our high level mastermind. We deny people every day from it, right? Because they're not ready for it. I don't care if you give me $10,000, $15,000 or $20,000 right now, because if you're not going to be a user for the whole time that you're in real estate, then it's not worth it to me. I'd rather you pay me the $49 a month for 3 years, right? Because that's more valuable to me because now you're a walking testimonial and I can provide as much value to you as possible. And that's the mindset you got to have for your whole team. Not only in a software company, but in your real estate companies, your acquisitions need to think that way. Your lead managers need to think that way. Everybody does.
Dude, it's amazing, man. I appreciate it. Like, when I was starting out, I think I was watching your YouTube channel before I started my channel. I'm like, dude, you need to get back on YouTube, man, because we're missing it over there, man. You were dropping bombs on that thing.
Yeah, I really do. It's just so I'm focused on the REISIF channel and stuff like that, but I really do. I really do. I have a 5,000 square foot office building we just bought. It's 1,250 on the bottom left, 1,250 in the bottom right. The reason we bought it is because I went to Carrot Camp. You might, I don't know if you listened to my Carrot Cast or not, but in that, and this is why I talked about like staying in your local market earlier, because I'm about making local impact. If all the rest of the world catches on fire, you can build your own local economy, right? Your local economy is more powerful than the global economy. So I came back from Carrot Camp and immediately I went and I was like, I know we had some commercial deals that were in a pipeline. Let's go figure out what we got to do to get one under contract. So we went and we found this one. And upstairs, it has a bunch of bedrooms and then like a 1-1, a community kitchen, another kitchen in the 1-1. So we're like, what is Airbnb at the top? And we'll build our offices in the bottom so that people can come in and be in the REISIF community. But more importantly, the bottom right-hand side for 1,250, anybody in the community can come into, and they can learn free education about real estate, how to not be foreclosed on, how to handle probate. We're going to host master classes with attorneys on probate information for free. We're going to have like setups for where people can come in, they can set up their trusts and all these different things, because local impact is more important than anything that you could possibly do in your business, period. So I'm really excited about that. I wanted to make sure I delved into that a little bit more than just mentioning I bought a 5,000 square foot office, because it's not about the office. It's about, the reason why, right? You're not going to see it on Instagram.
Definitely. My next question I got for you is, I mean, it's weird to say, But I mean, the amount of revenue and profits you do in your local market's pretty crazy. Do you do any virtual markets at all?
So we do some marketing in Tampa. Every now and then we scoop up a deal in Tampa, or we scoop up a deal in like Citrus County, which is where I'm from in Florida. But it's like it's only being hit through Facebook. So and that's only because it's cheaper just to throw some out there. And we kick some stuff up. We got a deal down there right now off Hillside Drive that we're working on. But to be honest with you, man, like the objective of my real estate company is to be an asset to my life, not for me to be a servant to it. So, we want to be between 650 to 950,000 a year net, right? I don't even really necessarily want to break the 7. I know people are like, why wouldn't you want to break the 7? Because, all I care about is my salary, 300K in distributions, and 4 rentals. That's my KPI. It's called a North Star metric, right? That's the North Star metric that I want to make in my company. As long as we're making that, everybody else, if the team goes above 1.2 or whatever, they can distribute it, like bonus it. I don't care. Like that's what I want. That's what it is. And that's what we build it around. And everything else outside of that is us figuring out how we can serve more and more people.
Okay. My follow-up on that is because in my local market, at most there's 400,000 around there, unless I hit Palm Beach. But Fort Walton, Destin area, like it's not that crazy population. It's like, do you feel like you're hitting a limit at the amount of people you're at? Because you're not in like your area is not crazy metro. Is there anything you're trying to do, or like how do you?
That's a good question, man. So there's a few other big players in my market. You got Ariane and Chris Lemire, right? They're on Bigger Pockets episode like 25 or something like that. They're a massive company. You got Bill Allen, 7-figure flipping, massive company. You got Chris Rude, massive investor, right? You got Blake Woodham, who a lot of people don't even know about. One of the guys don't give a shit about marketing, but he owns Gulf Coast Property Group, massive investor, 7-figure earner. All of those people were 7-figure earners, multiple actually. And then you got me, right? And then you got quite a few other individuals who are multiple 6-figure earners, all in the same bubble. We've never stepped on any of each other's toes. I've never stepped on theirs. They've never stepped on mine. And if we ever have a similar lead where we're actually battling on, then we would just call the other person. Yep. Josh Nicodemus. You want to know why he's not stepping on anybody's toes? He's flipping a crap ton of properties because he buys most of them from the MLS.
Wow.
Right? Like, see, people overcomplicate this whole real estate thing. They think that it has to be all that kind of that stuff. When all it boils down to is 1 or 2 key processes, and you just got to do those extremely well. There's only 4 components to a real estate company, right? Acquisitions, dispositions, marketing, and administration. The 4 quads to wholesaling. So each one of those only have 3 core KPIs they got to track, which is really simple. In our software company, we got 3 or actually 4 at the top level, and then each person underneath of that have about 10. This is a simple, like wholesaling is such a simple model. People way overcomplicate it, bro.
I'm telling you right now, you can make wholesaling as simple as you want, or you can make it as complicated as you want. I 100% agree with you. Guys, get ready, get your questions going. Ask all your questions you got for Tyler. I don't know how much time Tyler has, but we're going to try to get through as many as we can, as much time as we can. But I appreciate it. So my last question for Tyler before we go on, I know you have the auto lead gen challenge and you give a lot of value off of that, but I don't want you to go too much into it, but can you explain? I know in that lead gen challenge, I mean, everyone tells me Tyler is like the man here. He talks about the leaky faucets. I kept hearing like leaky faucets, and when he talked about to me, I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Can you explain what leaky faucets are and like how you deal with them?
Yeah. So a leaky faucet is, have you ever had a flip or a rental or even your own house where you end up getting a letter or you get called by the water department? They're like, hey, you guys have a leak. What are you talking about?
Every time.
Like you've used too much. You've used like 3 times the amount of water than you did previously. A lot of times it's because you have like a drip inside your like tank on your toilet, or one of your faucets outside is dripping, but you don't know Because how many of us really ever open up the top of our toilet and check to make sure the water is not dripping, or check our faucets around our house every single month? Like barely anybody ever does that. And that's why it's called a leaky faucet, because it's a small drip in your company, but it can add up to, $100 random, water bill because you have a leak. But with real estate, it compounds because the average deal is anywhere between, 9,000 or 10,000 or upwards to, in my case, we just closed a $143,000 deal, $75,000 deal before that. Like that stuff adds up. It can be a big mistake if you don't just tighten the leaky faucet. So some of the things that is one of the scenarios I already mentioned above. Like if you're dialing and you're calling every one of these prospects, right? Are you fixing your wrong numbers? Because if you're not updating your wrong numbers inside a core central location, so that location can distribute to all your marketing strategies, right? Because if you do just in call tools or just in a cold calling platform, all the DNCs are like they're held in there. They don't tailor back over to your DNCs in your SMS platform. So you got to get all those to one central location so that when you build campaigns, it can disseminate. Because if you're not doing that, you're wasting a shit ton. If you're doing 10,000 phone numbers a month, you're wasting on average between in that scenario for only doing one marketing strategy, $10 to $25 a month. But I mean, a lot of people as they're new investors, that is in itself a lot of money. Right. And that's just one tiny example as a leaky faucet there. Another leaky faucet would be a scenario of, let's just say, you see a deal come across your email, right? And it's property that you were marketing to, and you look it up and you see that it was called in call tools 3 times, right? And then you look at your REI Sift account and you see that none of the phone numbers are tagged, which means that it's been called in call tools, but you haven't connected to anybody to actually say if it was a wrong number, correct number, lead, whatever. So that lead has been sitting, going through your marketing over time, but you've never reached them, and you've tried to 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You need to figure out who those people are before your competitor. Because if you don't, 6 months from now, when you've said that data doesn't work, right? That person gets a hold of them, and now you see it through your email, and you're like, well, how the fuck did that happen? It's because you didn't have the insight. You have a leaky faucet.
Wow. Guys, write the stuff down, man. That's all I can say. Write the stuff down. So we got some people saying, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hoorah. Army strong. Love it. Joe says here, REI Sift has been a game changer for me. Reduced marketing by a lot due to Tyler's method. Let's see, we got Bernard. Tyler is the realist. I learned so much from him about marketing. I'm telling you, Tyler, you're one of the most requested guests we've ever had on here. So I'm telling you, the people here, they're loving your stuff. So we got to agree. Tyler will outmarket any company with less or better results.
Thanks,
oh my gosh. All right, let's get some questions here. We got a lot of ninja emojis.
That's hilarious.
I'm telling you, people are ready for you. Let's see. Marcus asks, can you explain more about REI Sift?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's technical things are hard to explain. It's like me trying to tell you how to do how to, repair an engine through voice and no schematics. But in its simplest terms, what I'll do is it's easier to ask if you are doing something. And if the answer is no, then it's something you would need. If you get someone that's a wrong number, are you updating that wrong number in your Google Sheet so that when you do any other marketing, even the same type of marketing, it's not being hit? Are you segmenting your data when you do marketing? Let's just say you're a new investor, you get 10,000 records from PropStream, and then now you're about to do skip tracing, right? Out of those 10,000 records, let's say you only have $150 skip tracing budget. What do you skip trace out of the 10,000? Most people, what they do is they skip trace the first, 1,000 or 1,500 records, right? Because they just take the first and they just put it into a new document, skip trace it. But what you don't know is that the middle between 5,000 and 6,000 were all vacant. So that should have been what you skip traced. So that's another lack of insight says that you think that the $150 didn't work. You think the skip tracing is bad, whatever the scenario is, when in all reality, it's because you didn't try to reach the right people. So that's another scenario. What you would do is you should upload that to like REI SIF, filtered by clean data only, and then vacant, out of state, and focus your $150 on there first, right? So it's about putting your money in the right place. If you have a lot of different data, right, and you skip trace data from multiple different lists, how many of those records are across multiple lists that you're re-spending money on? That's another example. Out of one single list, how many records inside that one single list are owned by the same owner, right? And then how many records from a separate list are also owned by that same owner? And when you skip trace it, if they own 10 properties on your list and you get results, you're spending 10 times when you should only be spending it once, but you're spending 9 times the marketing dollars on one individual record. Imagine that happening across a lot of different properties. So there's a lot of micro things that happen behind the scenes that are ultimately revolve around making sure you're spending the least amount of marketing dollars possible, focusing on the right people in the right way, in a systematic way, whether it be bulk marketing, inbound marketing, or omni-channel marketing, to hit all the right people one time and not in multiple times, unless you're purposely meaning to. Like, for example, if they're on tax delinquency out of state and they're probate and it's vacant, and I look inside my account and I find that individual, that person, I'm going to probably send direct mail, text them, and cold call them all at the same time, because I need to get in front of that person before someone else does. But I wouldn't want to be doing that to my high equity, for example, because that'd be a waste of money.
Definitely. I mean, I can't tell you, when I remember I was 18, I was in my dorm room in college, and I was spending my first $10,000 on like a huge skip tracing thing. And one guy told me over the phone, he's like, Zach, go to the actual owners and just get rid of the duplicates of the mailing address. I was like, what? And I do it. It was like 400. It was the most insane thing. I'm like, do people really do this with the direct mail? Just wasting so much money.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people teach in their inside of their buying for list source data to click the remove owners with multiple properties, because they're trying to save money, because you don't want to send them postcards. When you do that, you're basically saying that you don't care about any other person who owns a portfolio. You're hoping that they tell you, and that you don't want to find organic buyers, right?
Sure.
So what you should do instead is get that data and then know who the people are that do own multiple properties, so that we can then send them a postcard to offer for a portfolio deal or a letter, or reach out to them to see if they want to be a buyer. And if you're using a system that focuses around managing that data in the right way, you're not going to skip trace that person multiple times, because they look at that person as a contact, and you're skip tracing contacts, not properties. A lot of people, I just had someone the other day, I looked at all their data, and they haven't even been marketing to properties. They've been marketing to mailing addresses this whole time. Like, that doesn't make no sense, because that's all they got.
Oh my gosh.
What we say is, listen, like, build a process. The process is key. You can get a bot made for $150 to scrape your county to populate all that information. You can do this, you can do that. This is the reason why you should be doing this. Are you looking to build a business now, right, that pays you for people get into this business because they're looking to solve a Band-Aid right now, especially. They're like, okay, I just need one wholesale deal because I need to make $10,000 a month so that I can pay my bills. They're not coming into it saying, I'm getting into real estate because I want to be somebody in 30 years from now. So they build their businesses based off of short-term success, and that's all they'll ever truly be is short-term success, because they're not thinking of how to build a business with a foundation for 30 years from now. And that's just kind of how it is, I guess.
Wow. Guys, I say it a million times, just write this stuff down. This is all recorded, so don't even worry about it. Joe says, I can speak on that. Anyone watching this should take the challenge. We'll clean up any leaky faucets in your business and give you a good foundation on how to set up your business. Got a lot of people on your challenge on here. Ralph says,
Those are on your YouTube channel too, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is the longest running live wholesaling podcast on YouTube.
Nice.
We got some people on here. Ralph says, I want to get the podcast on iTunes all caught up. Just got your YouTube premium. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Impact and purpose. What's up? What's up? We got some fire. Oh my gosh. Charles Hernandez says, sup guys.
Hey, what's up, Charles? My guy. How you doing, brother?
All righty. So let's see. Joe says, hey Tyler, is Skip Genie one of the best ways to deep prospect a GNG lead?
So GNG, for those that don't know, stands for Go No Go. Skip Genie is a good product. I would say Skip Genie is a good place if you want to pay. If you're going to pay for it, I would probably use True People Search first, because believe it or not, y'all, like people will go buy all this data, and then they won't reach them, and then they'll go look on True People Search and dial 3 numbers in. They reach the individual. You got to understand why that is. Where does skip tracing, where does everyone ask when people go to get skip tracing, where do they ask? They ask, is it credit bureau data or is it something else, right? And everyone wants the credit bureau data. Most of the individuals that y'all are buying properties from, like the elderly, which is probably the majority of most of our clientele, they didn't apply for credit. Like, they don't have a fucking smartphone, a lot of them. Some of them do, but the people you're not reaching don't. They're not going to be in the credit bureau data, right? But they probably do have their phone number online somewhere. They probably do have it in something else that can be parsed through the internet. And that's why True People Search will get it and a credit bureau data will not. So it's about using the tools on why they were developed and what their key thing is, right? And that's the biggest thing. So Skip Genie is great because it gives you relatives. But Skip Genie, Bin Verify, True People Search, Family Tree Now. You could use a lot of open source tools to do it as well, to scrape. You got, what's that other one? Charles has a lot of tactics on this too. He gave me one. I'm going to spill the beans on it. Legacy.com's great. I've been using that one. It's a good one. And then there's a bunch of them, man. If you've done our deep prospecting, the sheet, it has a list of like a ton of them.
Wow, guys, just gems, man. Let's see. Joe asked one more question here. What do you say to the family and friends to give the owner's number when deep prospecting? Or what to say?
It's a good question. You can just let them know. Here's what I recommend you don't do. Don't say you're looking at buying this property. Say, hey, you're buying this property and you're trying to figure out who to get the money to, and then ask for their information.
Boom. Easy as that. Let's see here. We got some more. Simplicity is strong. Love it. Ray asks, hey, just trying to get started. I'm broke and want to make this work. Everyone is using things like PropStream on buying their list. How can I get a list for free and actually get in the game?
Yeah. If you're broke, man, walk the street. We have users that literally have walked the street, wrote down ugly properties, and then just called them, and then once you get that first deal, then shoot, door knock them. Don't just write them down. Just door knock them right then and there. Door knock the neighbors. See, here's the thing, and people are starting to steal this from me, and it's not like it's a new thing, right? But in the real estate industry, it wasn't said as much, and that's time is money. Everyone always knows that, right? But no one ever flips the coin and says that money is time. And with that, that means that it's parallel and they affects each other. So if you don't have money, generally that means you have time. And you could say, well, that's not true. I have a job. Well, then you have money. If you say, well, I have bills, get rid of the bills. Well, I can't get rid of the bills. I got a family. Then your family should be helping you, right? I could remove any single objection that anyone gives me all day, okay? Because I've seen it. I've seen it through people that actually want to do it. You say you actually get in the game. You just asking that question means that you should have already taken action a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever you knew. You know what needs to be done. Most people just don't want to take the action to actually do it. But another big thing is whatever your county is, just go to your county records Okay, go to your X county. Like, for example, if you want to market in my county, Okaloosa County property records, go to the open corporate site, or go to the, not the open corporates, go to the county records site where you can search the properties. There's probably an export button. Export it, filter by been owned for 15 years or more, right? Find their information and just start searching their information, their addresses on truepeoplesearch.com, and then start calling them.
Easy as that. One other question I got for you here is you're not the data expert, but you're as close as a data expert can be in wholesaling. Where are you pulling your data? Is there a difference between PropStream and ListSource? Is there any difference?
So I use it for what it is, man. You know, data is data, right? Data is what, at its core, what is a high equity list? I always ask people. It's why do we even buy it? People say they buy it because of the equity. That's not true. The reason why we buy it is because we can get it at bulk and volume, and we can get homeowners' information that's linked to an address. That's the real reason we buy it, right? Because you can have the same results downloading it right from your county. So I say, if you can do that, we have users in Tampa that do that. Just download all from their county. We've got users up in the Northeast that do that. Users in Texas that do that. They just download it right from their county, because an address is an address. A home can't just be picked up and moved. They don't, that's not how it works, right? Understand, what is this equity data? What is it even? It's algorithm. There we go. Third time's a charm. That says, hey, this property was purchased 15 years ago. The interest rates 15 years ago were X, Y, and Z. So how much equity does it maybe have? All right. And then it puts it on there. It can be wrong. What if they got to refinance? Right? It's going to be wrong. So think about, what data is. For us, we just pull it, again, because my county doesn't allow me to do export from county. It does, but they don't give me the last purchase date on it, which F's me over. So we get it from ListSource. We get the high equity data right from ListSource. We pull all of our niche lists, as many as we can, from the county. And then we just get some lists from other locations. We do use PropStream for some niche lists like divorce and other ones that we don't feel like trying to, build a system around. But we always vet it. We see how accurate is it. If it's divorce here, if I open up my county records and I pull up the public records for it, when was that divorce actually filed? And I compare the two. And if it's fast enough, if it's not fast enough, then I'll just have my VA pull it from the county, because I would rather have more accurate information than to pay for it there, because there's no reason for it. Your data is between data and people is the most important things in your company. So if you're not going to focus entirely on it and doing it the right way, people go 50% of the way and then never go the other 50%, and they wonder why they don't have results, right? They say this with working out, right? You can go to the gym and you can work out all day, but if you're not changing your eating habits, you're never going to see that extra 15 or 20 or 30% results that you're looking for. You're never going to get those bottom two abs.
Definitely. Blowing my mind right here. Tony says, I wish I found REI Sift years ago. Charlie asks, are there differing levels of products on REI Sift, and what do they offer in the cost?
Are there different levels of products? Bro, I'm not even going to answer that question, Charlie. You can go to reisift.io, my guy. It's $49 a month is the lowest plan. $299 is the highest plan, but it's not about plan pricing, all those things. It's not about the data size. Each one obviously has its different things, different user limits, different, upload limits and all those different things. But yeah, that's an irrelevant question, my guy.
I love it. So reisift.io, because I'm going to get a million messages on that. So Tyler, when do the new challenges come out? LOL.
Hey, what's up, man? So they used to be, so I do them live every now and again. I start off the year with a live version. And then anytime we've updated product and things like that, after a while, we end up updating and doing it live. Okay. The users love it. All the users end up coming in and doing it all over again, because there's a lot of accountability focus in it. But right now, anybody can join at any time. And then it just, you just get to go through it. It's baked into our community. So Yeah.
All right. So we got Wow Gems, got some fire, sweet, sweet, sweet. With the link to REI Sift, reisift.io. Claudio wants to know what's a good number of prospects to go after on a monthly basis? What's your take?
That's a good question. So I think it depends on where someone's at in their company right now. I think if they're a brand new investor and they're doing all the right things, I think that if they niche into 50 to 100 of those, they could produce a six-figure company, no problem. I know they could, actually. If
Yeah.
you're at scale, I think 500 to 1,000 for deep ninjas a month is reasonable. If you're doing cold calling in addition to that, I think you should have over 1,000. I think that the ideal situation is like if someone's in a W-2, for example, and they're working full time during the day, they can do deep prospecting on from Monday through Friday, focusing on the 50 to 100, and on Saturdays they can cold call through the 1,000 of the higher, whatever the level is higher to that. For example, if they have only high equity data, focus on the vacants inside that high equity data. They're going to deep prospect the out of state vacants, or maybe the vacants that have and own multiple properties throughout the week. And then on the weekends, they're going to call all of the vacants.
All right. Sweet. Let's see. Johnny asked real quick, what is an inspection period and how do you word that to the seller?
So I don't do inspection periods. Okay. What we say is, I mean, we do a, okay. So we get this question all the time. It's like, well, Tyler, I thought you were saying that you're buying my house as is, right? I'm like, yeah, but I still have to do my due diligence. So it's a due diligence period. What it's doing is it's like, listen, all I am is the guy with the money. I'm the guy that knows how to buy houses and do the rehabs and stuff like that and put everything together. However, after we get a property under contract, what we need to do is we need to walk through it and do our due diligence, because even if I walk through it now, I'm not going to be able to see everything that my contractor might see. And what we're doing is we're protecting you from what you told me the property looks like, and we're protecting us from what we expect it to be. Because I mean, I have a 5-year-old daughter. The last thing that I want, I think the last thing you want, is for me to end up not being able to pay, for my daughter's food because I have to pay $50,000 extra because I didn't do my due diligence.
Wow. Geez, I'm telling you guys, I feel like we're doing a marketing one today, but I got to have you on for an acquisitions one, because you got some powerful stuff. So last question on here. This is a pretty good one from Jonathan. Jonathan says, if you was to get started again and only had a credit card as leverage, what tools or system would you use to get started as soon as possible?
Good question, Jonathan, because I was that guy, right? I literally put $10,000. I actually got in trouble because I had a card that was supposed to be for my government travel. And ended up racking up $10,000 on this card. And I ended up not being able to book my hotel for one of our engagements we were going on because it was maxed out. So if you only have a credit card, okay, this is the dangerous thing you need to make sure that you do is look at it like you have zero credit limit. Okay. Do not get in the trap of, well, I have this extra limit. Right? What you need to think about is, what is the next 6 months? What am I telling myself I'm going to achieve in the next 6 months? And break that down to a dollar value. Let's just say you say, okay, I'm going to dedicate $5,000 because I know by the end of the year, I can pay back my credit card if I don't succeed. You don't want to think from the mindset you're not going to, but what's more important is that you don't put your family in a position where you now have debt. So after that, figure out what that 6-month budget is, get it mapped out, plan it. Okay. And then make sure that budget is something that you could always pay back in a reasonable amount of time, because if not, it'll get ahead of you. And now we start dealing with the thing, like I talked about before. It's like, I want lifetime users, not users that only last a year because they get in financial situations. Because the only thing that will stop you from executing within 6-month period and not getting your deal is something that you're not doing right, or you're not executing hard enough on. So for me personally, I think everybody should have REI Sift personally. Just I'm biased. Obviously, it sounds like I'm biased because I'm the founder, but like at this point, it's proven from everybody else that that's its true statement. So REI Sift, Google Voice, and I would say Deal Machine. I think those 3 products. And if you do that, you can get started tomorrow and you can start kicking up deals. I would link Deal Machine to REI Sift. I would go around and I would add don't add just distressed properties. Okay. Add properties based. This is where people mess up on driving for dollars too. Cause they're like, I'm not even going to add 1,000 properties a month. Listen, it's free data. Okay. Walk down the street. That one has a bad roof. That's it. It doesn't look super distressed. I can just tell that roof hasn't been done in 15 years. Add it, but do the tag 15 years. Go through and add every single property. You can even do it from a map view in there. Every property you add inside of Deal Machine would then get pushed over to REI Sift. Okay. Click on your clean data, filter by vacant, skip trace it in there, and then get on Google Voice and start calling the phone numbers. You can do that for less than $100 a month.
Easy as that. That kind of answers my last question I always have. So at the Bags to Riches podcast, I started out 17 years old, $300 in my bank account. So I ask every single guest the same question. Tyler, if you were 18 years old again, I threw you back into Citrus County with $300. What would you exactly do to become the next Tyler Austin?
Back when I was in that position, I joined the military, but it was at 17 instead of 18.
Oh boy.
But I wouldn't do that anymore. Okay. What I would do, man, is I would take that $300 and I wouldn't put it into real estate or marketing or anything, actually. I would keep my $300. Okay. And then I would simply go down to whatever the hottest market was in my area, a market wherever there's new construction. Okay. I would find houses that have a lot right next to them. Okay. And I would knock on the door to the house next door and ask if that's their lot or if somebody else owns it and if they have that person's information. And I would sell lots to builders.
Boom. Easy as that. And you would wholesale that?
Yeah, 100%. And with that being said, for the offer on that, whatever the new construction is selling for, get the property at 10% of whatever the new house construction is. So if it's selling for, let's say, $250,000, let's see here, $250,000. Was that $2,500? $250,000 times 0.1. Get it for $25,000 at minimum, because most builders want to be at 15%. Right. So you would sell that land. Now, in some areas that are really hot, like if a house sells for $250,000 in my market, I can sell the lot for like $60,000. That's just because we're landlocked. But in most locations, it's 15% of whatever it is. So a builder would pay. Oh, I'm sorry. I did that wrong. 250,000 times 0.2. Yeah, 25,000. A builder would pay 37.5 for it. So you'd be able to make roughly 12,500, right? So that's what I would try to do.
Boom. Easy as that, guys. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on. I got a couple questions. People want to know, again, how they join your challenge, how do they get on reisift.com one last time, and how they get in contact with you. So how can everyone do all those things?
Yeah. So the challenge is autoleadgenchallenge.com, or you can go to reisift.io, hover over or .com, either one, reisift.com, hover over the resources. The 3V motivated seller framework I talked about, there's a webinar under webinars for that says, are you generating motivated seller leads? The worksheet for that is also under there. It says motivated seller focuser worksheet. And the challenge is there because it says auto lead gen challenge underneath the resources as well. So that's the best way. If you want to get in contact with me, I've been on Clubhouse a lot more than anything lately, I think, as well as everybody. It's Tyler Austin on Clubhouse. And then on IG, it's Tyler Austin Original. I do always say I love voice messages. I'm all about one-on-one connections more than anything. So if you send me a text message and it's like just asking something then I'm probably not going to respond. But if you give me a voice message, I'm going to be curious what you sound like.
Easy as that, guys. Tyler, thank you, guys. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, your team, for letting you go on. And thank you guys for asking the question. So I really appreciate you coming on. Before we hop off, is there any parting thoughts you have for the audience?
I would just say that put your visors on, focus on what resonates with you, focus on what you know, focus on numbers over like true business numbers over, hype, and make no excuses, man. Because this prosperity thing, the only person that has control over it is you. No one else can care about where you're going more than yourself. If you think that, somebody else should care about that, or you're going to get a fuss or gripe or complaint because someone's not giving you information and you want spoon fed, that shit's going to continue to develop and fester in your life, and you're not going to get where you want to go. So just have no excuses, try harder.
Boom. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.